Trevor Levine is the conversion expert who made millions for names like AWeber, Remax, and Frank Kern. Trevor is a direct response copywriter who guarantees to beat your conversion rate or you don't pay. From scaling his own online health school to helping entrepreneurs double their revenue without spending more on ads, Trevor is here to share the science behind irresistible offers and unstoppable growth. Mr. Trevor, glad to meet you. Glad to see you.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Happy. We're a couple of glad guys. And so I introduced you with a good old chat GPT generated intro and hook. But in your own words, what are you all about? What's your passion and focus?
I help people improve their conversion rates. You're doing a lot of things, spending a lot of time and money probably to get traffic to a page, right? Whether you're doing organic, whether you're doing affiliates, whether you're doing paid advertising, they're all landing someplace. And when they get there, you want to convert as many of them as possible into paying customers or clients. That's what I help with.
Very nice. It's a great mindset. And a lot of people don't think in terms of this way, or maybe they've heard this, but they've lost their way, right? They've found better distractions, better priorities, and it's time to come back and say, hey, what is it all about? Get someone to sign up, get someone to buy. I've got my web page. I've got people coming to it. Figure out that percentage. Now it just becomes a math problem, right? Then it becomes, well, how do I
Yep.
improve what's there, or how do I get more traffic? And when people come to you, do they know their conversion rate? Do they have a number, or do they say, I don't even know what it is. I'm not even sure how to measure it.
Depends on the client. Good clients, well, I don't want to say that. Some clients have split testing software, right? And they're generating a lot of traffic so they can get accurate numbers on what's happening now and what happens with a rewrite that I provide. Some clients have no idea. So it really depends.
Okay, well, fair enough. So it depends where they're at, but we do know that there is room for improvement, right? There's things that we are like, and we've all been there, right? Someone critiques our sales page, or even isn't it spooky how if you are at a friend's house or at a coffee shop or something, and they open up your web page and nothing's different. It's instead of you looking at it, it's their friend, and you see it differently, right? It's just the fact of you're looking at it straight on, you're looking at it over their shoulder, you see it completely differently. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't update the copyright date. I can't believe it loads 5 seconds instead of 1 second. Oh, that old banner, that old header. So we're all messing up in little ways when it's okay, because we notice a problem, we fix it. And so what sort of common mistakes do you see? You say it's all about the conversion rate, and sometimes we're shooting ourselves in the foot. So how are we doing that? How do people mess up their conversion rates on their web pages?
Sure. Well, let me address what you said a moment ago. We're all messing up in little ways. You may not be messing up. You may have a profitable sales page. For example, Ken Varga, who is a Geico insurance agent, had a direct mail letter that was doing well, and it was written by a legendary copywriter. But he decided to give me a shot at beating it, and I outperformed it 3 to 1. So it's not that he messed up. He had something that was working, but there was a lot of room for improvement. So as far as copy mistakes or copy improvements, there's a bunch of things that we can do right away to improve that. One is a lot of people over rely on adjectives. They'll say things like, "This is the most amazing, groundbreaking method, right? Since blah blah blah." That sounds like bragging. And what I recommend is replacing adjectives with verbs. Okay, you want to start, especially in the first few paragraphs or first portion of your sales page, you want to focus on benefits to the reader. That means verbs. Automate your sales process. Stop wasting your time on technical minutia. Spend more time with your family. See, every one of those starts with a verb, and it doesn't sound like bragging. It sounds like, oh, yeah, I want those things. That's one thing you can change right away. Another is, especially in those first few paragraphs or the first portion, is avoid talking about yourself. So a lot of times when someone comes to me, it's all about, I believe in holistic healing, and I have these 3 certifications, and I help clients these ways, right? And it's all about, well, I don't want to hear about you. That's not what's going to hook me. I want to know what's in it for me if I'm the reader. So take out all the I and all the we, if you can, in the opening, and make sure you're focusing on you and your. what is the benefit to the reader if you have 3 certifications? For example, you might say, you won't be wasting your money on, incompetent practitioners charading as experts. You'll get results within 30 days based on my track record, or I guarantee your money back. So these are ways to switch it around to the you orientation instead of I and we. Those are a couple things. I can share more.
Yeah, and I need a moment to digest it because I love exercises like that, right? Like when we've all, I think, those of us that have written a copy of one page, we've gone through that awakening, right? Like I've seen it so many times. I'm sure you have too. Like when you come across the Gary Halbert, the John Carlton, all like the classics, right? The Eugene Schwartz, all that good stuff, like the Claude Hopkins, right? You see those old timey sales letters and you realize like, okay, this is what I should be like shooting for in a sense, right? Like getting attention and big headlines and sometimes centered and bold and red. It's kind of like fun because it defies a lot of the boring term paper stuff that we had to learn in school, didn't it? Like short sentences and get impact. And it's like in school you're trying to make a page count, but on a web page you're like, I'm trying to grab their attention just for a few precious seconds. And so like you're giving me these flashbacks to like these fun just like passes through the web page where someone's told me once like look for the word no, and it's okay to say no sometimes, but he's like just search it, and it was like hundreds of times on a long sales letter. I'm like, I can't believe it, like you're giving me this awareness. Or he said like go through and say like if you have a 10-word sentence, could you cross out like 1 word or 2 words and have it say the same thing, or like passive versus active words. And so when you're saying some of these things like put the verbs in there, or like they say like add questions or kind of do the bucket brigade. It's like it's always fun about just these little exercises where you can, one, see where you're messing up, and two, like figure out a better way. And better doesn't mean being more pretentious or winning those academic points in school. Better means converting better, right? Getting more attention. And so I love the kind of the verb tweak. And you said you had more. So what else do you see that's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
easily done, easily noticed that you think bears paying attention to on our web pages, our sales pages?
Sure. So you may be focusing on selling your process or your deliverables. Let's say you're a coach and you say, when you sign up, you'll get 8 coaching sessions and membership in a private community. That's the deliverables, but that is not the result that the person wants. Think about it this way. When someone wakes up in the morning and thinks about their problems, maybe they have joint pain, maybe they have cash flow problems, maybe their relationship is on the rocks. Do they think to themselves, you know what? I need to sign up for an 8 session coaching program. You know what? I need to buy an ebook. I need to join a membership site. No, they don't think any of that. They are not thinking about buying the medium. They are thinking about solving their problem. And that's what they want. So instead of selling your deliverables, right, which is how many videos or how many, you know, uh, little books or whatever it might be that you're giving them, um, save that for the second half of your sales page. You want to start by, in your headline and your opening, talking all about the results that they crave and the problem that they're living with and what it's going to cost them if they don't take action to solve that problem. So, for example, let's say you're a relationship coach who works with folks that have anxious attachment. Instead of saying, sign up for my coaching program and get 8 sessions, you could say, be valued by people you love, not frustrated, disappointed, or taken for granted. That would be selling the result.
I like that. And it's, once again, it's a blind spot, right? Like people are doing it, they're not even realizing it. And by saying it's an 8 module course, it's about you. It's not about them. Like who cares about, and even if you say 8, like someone says that to me, I'm like, that sounds like a lot. That makes me not want it. And it's like seems like you're screwed either way if you introduce that too early, right? If it's 2, well, it's only 2, that's not enough. If it's 8, like I don't have time for that. And so I think you mentioned something that's really important, which is like the order of importance really matters, right? Like a lot of these details, like you think they're so important, 8 modules, well, sure, but put that further down because at the beginning you're focused on getting their attention and solving their problem and making sure that you understand them and all those other things, and all the finer details. It's like, cool, give that to me once I'm kind of already emotionally sold on what you have to offer me. And so my understanding here is that, so someone comes to you and maybe they're already saying some of these things on their landing page. They're mentioning I a lot in the beginning, and it needs to be you. There's things that can be changed, and so you go in and you make some of these tweaks, these changes to improve the conversion rate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of it is copywriting, but a big part, and this is one of the things, a couple of things that AI won't help you with, is your offer creation.
Ooh.
So it's one thing to just describe what you sell, your program, your product, your service, whatever it is. But if there's no offer, then there's no reason for people to act right now. They can
Ooh.
read about it and then they can say, oh, I'll think about it. Maybe I'll come back. So one thing that I help with is offer creation. What is the offer that's going to get people to act now? That's going to create urgency. And there's a lot of ways you can create a good offer. You can Obviously, you can have limited quantities. You can have a deadline, like when you have a Jeff Walker style launch. Um, but um, Here, I made a little list here to make so I don't forget any of them. You can have a
Okay.
trade-in offer. You can have a special bonus package. Here's a good one that when I built a company that you mentioned in the intro, I built an online school called the Vegetarian Health Institute to six-figure months, and then I sold it. And we had a one-year course where you could pay up front or you could just pay monthly. But when people first got introduced to us, they didn't necessarily, I mean, some of them were willing to do that, but there were some that were like, I don't know if I want to commit to monthly fees for a year, right? Or commit to several $100s. So what did we do? We took out one lesson, which was one that our audience really was very interested in on omega 3s, because those are hard to get if you're on a plant-based diet. And we sold it by itself as a tripwire for $7. And so the principle here is that if you take something out of a more expensive program, maybe you have a $3,000 coaching program, but you take out the one thing that people love the most and offer it for $47. So one way to create an offer is to say, for a limited time, we're doing a marketing test, and we're offering this gold nugget from our expensive coaching program for only $47. But this isn't going to last forever. We're just trying it out to see if it makes sense, right, in terms of the number of people that convert to high ticket clients. So that's another way to make an offer, is to say, normally you would have to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars for this, but right now for a limited time, we're letting you have it for only whatever it might be, a fraction of the cost. Those are some ways that you can make an offer. Another, I just helped a client who had an online summit. He's been doing it for 14 years. And obviously, like any online summit, people can sign up for free. But then as soon as they get to the thank you page, he says, wait, wouldn't you like to have the recordings so that you don't have to, listen to 5 interviews a day? You can get them for $67. So I said, well, that's a pretty good offer, and that's what all the summits offer. But why don't we make it better? What else can we add to add value to this offer so that the gap between free and paid is a bigger gap? It turned out that only 20% of the content from all their interviews was in the free summit, right? And the other 80% was not part of the free summit. It got cut. So one thing that they could offer was giving people 100% of the interview content, the stuff that was in the free summit and the other 80%. And then I said, well, how about instead of just letting them be in a forum for 8 days, you let them be in it for 60 days and have a private forum just for the paying customers. So they went with it. And so that added value to the offer, with the people paying $67, knowing that they're not just getting the recordings, right? They're also getting 60 days of support instead of just 8 days.
Well, very cool. And so that makes perfect sense there, how it can we can use someone like you who does it better than AI, because like we said, AI does a few things pretty well, like the mechanics, but as far as that intuitiveness, right? The bigger picture, thinking outside the box. You pick your metaphor. Someone like you says, "Hey," you look at the offer and you say, "Well, we can have this lead-in product. We can figure out this upsell. We can play around with the positioning. We can figure out the bonuses." The term offer, that's a lot more interesting than just a course or a product, isn't it? Because like it encompasses so much more, and there's this focus on like, okay, well, like what's branding? Well, branding is trust. So what's trust? Well, trust is being reliable and dependable. So someone gets this kind of small nugget and they see what you're all about, and then we've all experienced that kind of excited buying feeling. So we buy that little thing, and now I want to buy some more. Now I want to buy that upsell, and it's and there's many possibilities here, right? When there's someone like you who has this fresh perspective, maybe someone. I mean, I imagine like the average person, they can like it's no insult to them, but they can barely even get that checkout process set up, right? There's so much to figure out. The page, the button, the checkout, the getting their membership figured out. So they're like, I'm so exhausted. But now there's this guy, Mr. Trevor, who like can run circles around this, and you say, well, hey, I've seen and I've done some amazing, crazy things, and as along those lines, the checkout page, right? The checkout page,
Mhm.
it's this place where they see what the offer is, they click, they enter their credit card. But then when this a bunch of years ago, when this technology started, where you can like follow someone around, or you can play around with like step one, step two, it's like, hey, there's so much that can be
Mhm.
tweaked, improved. So as far as these checkout pages, like
Mhm.
what do you have to say there? What have you seen as far as people abandoning them? How can we make better use of our checkout pages?
Yeah. So most folks make the mistake of assuming that once someone clicks from the sales page to the checkout page, now they're convinced and they're gonna go ahead and buy. But they don't. What you want to do on your checkout page is reiterate all of the things that were most convincing. You want to restate your risk reversal, or in other words, your guarantee. You want to show again the package. If there are deliverables, let's say they're going to get in a community and they're going to get a book and whatever else. You want to show an image of all the deliverables. You want to also what else do we need to put on there? Testimonials. The same, take your best testimonials from your sales page and also put them on your checkout page, because people are still waffling when they get there, and you need to, remind them of all the most compelling reasons to take the next step. A two-step checkout page is also totally worth testing, sometimes works better, but the main benefit is you capture their email on the first step. So if they don't complete the process, you can follow up by email.
I've been through that so many times. I'm sure you two have too, Mr. Trevor, where you go to something, maybe you click over on that checkout page just to kind of see what happens, right? I'm curious, I click back, but then I go to the checkout page and I do the step one, step two, and I fill in my email, but then I've got tabs open or I get distracted or something else happens, and then I
Yeah.
start getting the sequence, and it's just one of those like really good marketing best practices, right? You say like restate a lot of those elements of the sales letter in that condensed format. Keep the testimonials on there. Don't assume they're convinced to buy. But
Mhm.
then there's all these fun things that can be implemented, like the two-step checkout. They enter their email, they didn't finish, and then you can get them on a sequence and say, hey, like you got that far. Why don't you go and finish your checkout and get this course, get this offer that you wanted to go get. And so like we're kind of cracking this code here when it comes to human nature, and human nature is really fickle, but luckily there's all these like tricks sounds bad, but there's techniques, aren't there, in order to make sure that we can improve that conversion rate. And so one of these things that's always fun with copywriting is this idea of urgency. And the lazy way is to say, oh, it expires at midnight, or throw a countdown clock, or there's 67 copies left. But what do you have to say about creating urgency without gimmicks?
Sure. Yeah. So those, like you said, we could call those gimmicks. If you want to do it using natural urgency, then talk to the person about the cost of continuing to live with their problem. Okay. So let's say their problem is joint pain. So you explain that you talk to them about their problem, you explain what you have to offer, and then you say, if you don't move forward with the solution, how will you get rid of your joint pain? For how long are you going to continue not being able to garden and dance and play with your grandkids on the floor. For how long are you going to be confined in a chair watching your grandkids play on the floor without you? So these are ways, and might it get worse if it's arthritis and they don't take some action? It could actually get worse. So these are some ways to have them visualize the cost of continuing to live with their problem if they don't take action. Now, because you mentioned AI earlier, I want to say something about this. Let's say that your solution for joint pain is a particular healthy diet. And there's other solutions. There's pharmaceuticals, right? There's injections. Well, you could go to AI and easily say, tell me why a healthy diet, what are the advantages of a healthy diet versus pharmaceuticals and injections for curing joint pain? And it will give you some good data that you can use in your sales page. So now you may be able to use that to convince people to choose a healthy diet rather than pharmaceuticals or injections. But now, how do they know that your healthy diet is the best, right? Why should they choose yours instead of all the other ones? This is where AI cannot help you because it does not know your unique selling proposition. It does not know what makes yours better and different and more advantageous, or why the others are, what are the comparatively, right? What are the downsides of the other options, the other diets than yours? So this is where we really need to, and a lot of clients they haven't thought about their unique selling proposition. I worked with one client who sells a plant fertilizer, but what makes it different than Miracle Grow? We had to talk about that for it to come out and for it to be in his sales page because it wasn't.
Ooh. That's powerful. Yeah, that we sometimes need to tease out what the art is and that unique selling proposition and the Ben Franklin technique, right? You say, "Hey, here's what you could do if you don't change," or "Here's what this other alternative is," and "Hey, here's my comparison." Make the emotional argument, right? Make the case for what should change. And like you mentioned about the that idea of like urgency and what the future might be like you give me flashbacks to that there was like this commercial of like a stop smoking commercial, and like there was like a old man, a grandpa, who was like saying to a little kid, like, "Hey, little kid, come and take your first steps," and then the grandpa turns into a ghost. And the
Oh,
baby just walks right through him, and then, like it hits you. It's like the most emotional thing I've ever seen. Is the grandpa looking at the grandkid taking the first steps, and the grandpa turns into a ghost. And I'm just like,
mm,
man, how can we replicate that or duplicate that? And the answer is with a guy like Trevor. You can have this back and forth conversation with, get the raw materials, get the good stuff, and he says, "Aha, I've practiced copywriting so much that I can just say that's what we need to use. That's what we should improve." Instead of ChatGPT, which gives us like bolded bullet points and all these lists, which is a good starting point, but that's not exciting for us humans. And so kind of moving down through this copywriting, these steps, guarantees, right? Guarantees. We've all heard of like, oh, get your money back, but we all know we can get our money back, right? We can charge back our card or ask for our money back. So as far as guarantees and going with what's tried and true, but also what's cutting edge and current, what do you have to say about guarantees to improving our sales, and how can we perhaps create an instant boost by thinking through our guarantee?
great. Okay, so a lot of clients do have a guarantee. They'll guarantee your money back, but it's buried down at the bottom of the sales page. What I like to do is, first of all, that's the bare minimum. Money back, everyone offers at least that. You're asking people to take a risk, and if it's their first time learning about you from a paid ad or an affiliate, right? There's not already a trust there. They don't know you, like you, and trust you already, and you're asking them to take a risk. So you've got to reverse the risk. You have to make it better than just get your money back. So here's some ways to do that. One is to use a promise, time frame, and risk reversal. A guarantee and a promise are interrelated. So, for example, you might say, return to your natural body weight in 60 days, or everything you've downloaded is yours free, right? And in that case, maybe there's some videos and then some download PDFs. And if they were to, right, ask for a refund at the end of 60 days, you cut off the videos, but they still get to keep the PDFs that they downloaded. Another that I recommended to the plant fertilizer client was if your plants don't grow bigger and faster than ever before, just send back the empty container for a full refund. So the person gets to use the product, right? And they don't actually even need to return the fertilizer, but they can still get a refund. You can also invite people to take the first step risk-free. So let's say you have a coaching program. You can offer that if for any reason they're not thrilled by the end of the first session, all they have to do is tell you, they get a full money back. So they get a full refund. Or if you're doing a conference, let's say it's a 3-day conference. If you're not thrilled by lunch on the first day, just see my assistant in the back, and you'll get a full refund, and we'll even pay for your flight home. Now, some people say, I've heard this objection, well, wait a minute, I don't want to pay for the flight home, right? What, I don't want to offer double your money back, because what happens if I actually have to pay that? Okay, so here's 2 ways to protect yourself. One is you make the guarantee, you have an unconditional part and a conditional part. Unconditional means if you're not satisfied for any reason, no problem, you get your money back. And if you send us your completed homework showing us that you gave the program a fair shot, and you didn't lose, you didn't return to your natural body weight in 60 days, we'll give you double your money back. How many people are going to send you copies of all their homework, right? Nobody. So this is a way to to protect yourself. But what's great about having the bolder conditional guarantee is that if you run paid ads, or if you have affiliates, they don't have to mention the condition. Your paid ads can say, you're guaranteed to return to your natural body weight in 60 days or double your money back. And they don't have to know until they get to the sales letter that there's a condition on that, right? Which is a fair condition. It's not unreasonable. But this helps you get more people coming to your sales letter, where you have a lot more establishing the value and convincing them why they should move forward.
Very cool. And just that tip alone, the conditional guarantee, just that alone is worth this podcast, right? If you get nothing else from this podcast, that's some really powerful copywriting and marketing wordage. And man, you're giving me Gary Halbert flashbacks here, Mr. Trevor, because like you're so right that by having the conditional guarantee, you say you double your money back, or we'll pay your flight home. It's a lot of fun. And then it's when you think about that person that refunds, I mean, usually, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but usually the person that refunds, they just didn't have time for it, right? They bought the fertilizer, they got the course, they never logged in, they didn't use it. So it's like saying that someone will they'll do their homework and they'll prove that they tried it didn't work. It's like it's so rare, right? It's like 0.01% of a person that actually would do it. So it's like the hesitation is understandable, but in reality, like if someone did the homework, then they probably get the results. So it cancels out in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah, another way, let's say you have an 8-week program, is you say all you have to do to get your money back at the end is submit your homework by midnight every Monday for 8 consecutive weeks, right? And show up for all your sessions without rescheduling. You know, most people are not going to follow through with submitting the homework on time every week for 8 consecutive weeks. So,
Right.
it allows you to offer a crazy bold guarantee that makes them feel safe to read more, and perhaps, book a call with you, or whatever it might be, or come to your webinar, or read your sales page.
Yeah.
But you're still protected.
Yeah, and it's just it really makes you think, right? Because it's so tempting to keep things boring and talk about PDFs, talk about videos, but you're saying, hey, like you've got a real problem, you've been stuck in all these ways, you're so frustrated, you got this pain, I want to help you, and I'm
Mm.
not just here just to shove some videos on you, like I'm here for the homework and the sessions, and we can get on a call, and I really want to solve your problem. It's a lot more human and a lot more interesting, and there's just all these things we've been discussing where maybe we haven't even realized that we've been like messing up in small ways, or that things can be improved. And this whole idea of revealing the price, that's always fun, because like we've both been around doing this stuff for a while, right, Mr. Trevor? And like I remember like so many decades ago, like Mark Joyner said, hey, put your price on the sales page. And up until then I just said, hey, click here and buy. And then when they went to the checkout page, then they saw their price, and he was like, no, because they're going to click and they're going to come back, and it's all just like a confused mind never buys sort of stuff. And then I had a mentor, Armin Morin, who said like, if they're scrolling down a web page and you have the buy button like halfway down or part way down, then drop them down to the order box. That way they can kind of see the whole thing and they can proceed. So there's little touches, right? Little nuances. But that's just my opinion. You're the star of the show. What's your opinion on revealing the price and a link into that checkout page? What's the proper way to do it?
Well, you might remember when video sales letters became really popular. This is where you have a sales letter where you only see one sentence at a time on the screen, and there's a
Oh,
voice reading to you exactly what you're reading on the screen.
yeah.
Why did they do that? Why did that become so popular? Because it prevents the viewer from being able to scroll down and see the price right away, right? It forces the viewer to go through the whole sales process before, or the whole pitch, you could say, right, before the price is revealed. Now, if what you have is $17, you don't need to do this. You could put a button right on near the top of the sales page. But if it's 3,000 or even maybe 500, you don't want people scrolling down, or you don't want people to see the price right away. Now, if you're not doing a video sales letter and you're back to a traditional sales page, which is also, a fine way to convert people, then the key is just don't put a link to your checkout page too early. I would wait until at least halfway down the page when you feel that you have done enough to exacerbate their pains and problems, explain why your solution is uniquely qualified to solve their problems, right? Show them some testimonials, show them the guarantee. You don't want anybody to be able to click, or you don't want to welcome them or encourage them to click to the checkout page until you've covered all those bases.
Fair enough. And, I think that we're getting a little bit of a theme in our conversation. Is just like, think about that order that you're presenting things, and don't do it too early because, like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen like people that have the buy button before they've introduced the product. Like, hey, at least like walk them through the process, because otherwise it's just a jumbled mess. And so we're getting near the end of our kind of our little copywriting masterclass this has turned into, which is great. Like, I'm getting so many ideas. This mix of nostalgia plus things I want to go and do to my existing web pages, but testimonials, right? There's so many ways to go wrong, too long, too short, saying the wrong thing. And so if someone says, well, I've got these testimonials on my landing page, why aren't they doing the trick? What's the problem with testimonials these days?
Well, I mean, the biggest problem is they don't talk about specific results that are compelling. A lot of times they'll say, "This is a great product," or uh, um, you know, so Trevor is a really excellent copywriter and he met our deadline. That's not very compelling. The testimonials that I put on my site are all the ones about results, right? Trevor increased our conversion rate by 22%, or Trevor outperformed the sales letter I had by 3 to 1. Those are the kind of testimonials that you want, whether you're in the whether you're helping people make money or with health or with relationships or whatever it might be. Now, let's say somebody, sends you an email or posts a review, whatever, with a so-so testimonial, just saying, you're a great coach, or your product arrived on time, and, it seemed like it was made from quality ingredients. That's not a great testimonial. If you have their direct contact info or the email, reach out to them, ask them if they'd be willing to jump on a call or video chat with you so you can ask them some questions about the results that they got. And then, and this is, I've done this a lot with my own company and with clients. You take the answers to their questions, edit it down into a testimonial that gives you a lot of bang for your buck, and then share it back with that person for their approval, or invite them if they want to edit it. Most people just approve it, but if they, want to edit something, they're welcome to do that, right? And now you've got a
Hmm.
testimonial that is going to be much more compelling. People don't always volunteer the results, so you've got to ask them questions to draw out that information and put it in their testimonial. Other things are, just having a first name and no photo. I mean, it's best if you can have a headshot and a full name. Even better if you can add a city and state, or let's say you're selling to entrepreneurs. What might matter more than a city and state is the person's title and their website or company. Um, let's see if there's anything else about testimonials. Oh, of course, video testimonials are the best because they're the most believable. And if you can take screenshots of reviews from independent sites, whether it's Yelp or Trustpilot or your Facebook page, and put those on, those also have a lot of credibility because people can see that's a real person. And that wasn't something that, it doesn't look like something that you solicited. And it certainly can't be something that you fabricated, right? Because it's on Trustpilot or it's on Yelp. Same with a video testimonial. Very believable.
Very cool. And so we've all seen these things, but maybe we didn't notice all of it, right? We noticed that there is testimonials and we're just like, okay, cool, testimonial, I'll replicate that. And you're saying, well, those testimonials you saw, they went and they kind of went back and followed up into this interview process and got the results. Instead of just saying, hey, it's great, they said, hey, what did you get out of it? Cleaned it up, gave it back to them, got it approved. And then they got this way better effective testimonial or captured the screenshot of the third-party review sites. And maybe we saw that, but we didn't really register that, like, hey, it's not just any old testimonial. They went to the Trustpilot and they went and grabbed it. So that adds more of the proof and the trust. And so just this whole conversation, you've just been pointing out these things that maybe we've seen and it's subconsciously registered, or we've only maybe digested like 60% of what's important, right? When it comes to that debt copy, the bucket brigade, the getting people to read, the pricing. There's just all these little finer details that if you go and you fix up this and that, imagine how the conversion rate can increase. Now it makes a lot more sense how someone like you can increase that conversion rate just by applying these best practices, removing the bottlenecks, and just kind of making it a better experience for that buyer. And so what are some next steps here? If someone says, okay, Trevor's given me so many ideas, but now if I were going to apply these myself, then I'd have a big old to-do list. I'm not sure if I could apply it properly. And even if I did, I'm not
Right.
sure I'd have the confidence, because so many times we're like, that conditional guarantee, I need to see someone else do it, or I'm not sure if I want to take the risk. But someone like Trevor says, hey, I've done this 37,000 times. Like, just trust me, just try this out for 30 days. In a way, like, he can apply copywriting on you to have the confidence for you to have your own copywriting. So as far as someone getting in touch, some next steps, and taking the more actions compared to just getting a taste on a podcast, what should someone do now? What's the good old call to action?
Well, you can come to my website, marketingexperts.com, and request a free critique. And that way you can see where your sales copy can be improved. If we end up working together, which is totally up to you, then I can help with offer creation. I can help with improving your risk reversal and your guarantee. I can help you manifest better testimonials by either giving you the right questions to ask your customers, or I can do it myself. And so there's all kinds of ways, that we can work together. I don't just do sales pages. I do sales video sales letters. I do email campaigns. That's one way that I helped AWeber. So, but the first step is just come and get a free critique. There's no obligation. If you want to take what you learn and just run with it on your own, that's fine.
I like it. I love the micro commitment. And that seems to be, out of all the possible ways to do it, it's like, hey, I'm being generous. I'm teaching you some stuff. If you want to pick it up and use it, like, great, more power to you. But if you know that you'll get stuck, or if you applied tips number 1 and 2, but you say, hey, I really need help on getting that checkout page figured out. How do you do the 2-step and steps 3 and onwards? And maybe you say, Trevor gave me some stuff that really helped me, but as far as getting to that next level, getting something consistent, having a real business in place, hey, nothing beats having a real person, and especially getting that free critique and consultation by going to marketingexperts.com, where you can turn more of your visitors into customers and clients without spending more on ads. They beat your conversion rate in a split test, or you don't pay. And as Trevor said, he improved AWeber's email marketing campaign. He's worked with Remax, Cigna, RE Mentor, MyPoint, and so many more. And AI is okay, but it shines in some areas and fails in others. And it's just like any tool, right? You could have a Ferrari, but if you don't know how to drive, you crash the Ferrari. If you have like Mario Andretti or a race car driver, you can really make that thing spin. So no matter what tools you have in the toolbox, right? AI, your CRM, your email autoresponder, your landing page software, the beautiful WordPress theme, whatever it is, or your merchant account, your checkout process, all these tools, well, you need to have someone on your side to help applied in the proper, correct way. And that is marketingexperts.com and Mr. Trevor Levine. But before I let you go, Mr. Trevor, it's time for the scary part of the show where I try to stump you. I try to put you on the spot by asking you about a fun quote or lesson that has served you in life or in business. So, what comes to mind to help us out as far as a fun quote or lesson?
I believe strongly in delegation. Obviously, when I founded my own company and scaled it, I could not do everything myself, and I didn't want to do everything myself. There's a lot of technical minutia I dislike. So things, let's say your time is worth, I don't know, 200 an hour, 100 an hour, but you can hire an assistant for 20 an hour. Why are you doing tasks that you could have delegated for 20 or 25 an hour? That is going to keep you from growing. So my advice is to delegate as much as you can for things that you can hire out for to someone that charges a lot less than your time is worth. And by the same token, when it comes to expensive things like drawing up a contract, don't try to do that yourself. Hire a lawyer. When it comes to improving your sales page, right? If you try to do it yourself, I mean, you might get some luck, but why not? It's just like hiring a lawyer, right? Or just like going to a surgeon. It's an expertise. So that's another thing that I believe in delegating.
Yeah. Would you do your own surgery? Would you do your own dentistry? Well, hopefully not. And your advice, it's definitely rooted in logic, but not in ego. So we have to definitely let go of some of our inflated ego and say, oh, well, I can do it all myself. And someone like Trevor says, well, hey, there's definitely a zone of expertise in your business, but there's lots of other stuff that there's the higher level, right? Where it might cost you more, but they perform that skill, and the lower level where it might be only like 80% as good as you can do it, but hey, answering those emails or the customer service or kind of those monotonous tasks that someone else can still do, and it's what you pay is cheaper than what your hourly rate is. Man, that's definitely the secret to business and getting ahead, creating something that's scalable, creating a business you can sell, living life on your terms, all those things that we wanted to do. But then we let that gosh darn ego get in the way, and it's time to let go of that. And the first step is to have Mr. Trevor help you out with this free critique and consultation. That's marketingexperts.com. Go there, click the button where it says free critique/consult, and have this conversation with Mr. Trevor about how you can perhaps double your revenues without spending more on ads. And he's already given, we could probably run it through ChatGPT and make a checklist of like 73 different things that you can look for and change and test on your webpage. There's always so much more to do. So get this fresh perspective. Get someone like Mr. Trevor Levine from marketingexperts.com to help you out. Go ahead, do it right now. Go to that page, click that button, get that free consultation. You'll be glad you did. You have so much fun. You'll be so amazed at the results you get. And thank you, Mr. Trevor, for stopping by, being generous. We did like a double length session, but it was okay because we both geeked out about all the John E. Kennedy and Gary Halbert stuff, and really appreciate you being here. And thanks for that.
Absolutely.